Hi, my name is Maggie Stein. I'm going to show you today how to prepare a piece of lino for cutting and some tips on how to cut the lino. This is a standard lino which is about 30 centimetres square, and we're going to use part of that lino today. The first step I'm going to do today, which is my way of preparing the lino, is I'm going to get some black ink and I'm just going to paint it onto the exact square, because this is the design that I'm using as a starting point. So this will just take a minute. This is just a normal, like an Indian ink base. I'm going to paint then with the white ink over the top. What I'm going to do is paint the white areas of this image. It's a fairly grey image, but I'm going to be able to interpret it fairly much in black and white. And those white areas that I paint on are the areas that I'm going to then cut out with the lino tools. Now I'm just marking up the lino, so I've got an exact square shape here. And I'm going to get the stencil knife and cut once through the lino. So once you have done one slice, you just simply bend the lino, and you, with the Hessian backing, you've got to cut through that. That's what's holding it together now. So I'm just going to carefully cut through there. Okay, once I've done that, then I've got my black lino to start with, which is exactly the same size as my image. I'm going to start inking in the negative areas, which are the areas that I'm going to cut out. So what I've been doing is painting in all the white areas that I want to show as white, and then I'm going to cut out with my tools. So as you can see, it's not an exact copy. More, I use my images as inspiration. So what I wanted to show you was some tools that I use. This is a speedball tool, which is great because it's got interchangeable blades, but I usually stick to the number 1 cutter, which gives the finest line. So if I was to go around, if I was to cut that out, actually I'll just cut beside it because that's too thick. It gives a line like that, which is about a nice pen line. If I wanted to cut a broader line, I'd use a V-shaped tool, which is a bit like that shape there, to cut that out completely. You can see how much broader that is. That's a bit like the width of an art line texter. When you start cutting, you won't be able to do a really long line. The best thing to do for beginners is to keep the tool at that kind of angle, not too deep, not too vertical, but about a 45-degree angle to the lino, and do short little cuts like this, because that way you've got lots of control. So as well as making lines, when you get more experienced, you can make little nicks. You can make crosshatch, you can make dotty kind of marks like this. They're some of my favourites. You can also do this kind of rolling technique, which kind of is fun, but you probably use it fairly sparingly in work. I do anyway. This is a nice big broad tool. So if you want to cut really big areas, so if I wanted to cut all that black area out, I could just simply dig in. If you're going to cut a large area out like that, it's best to cut a white line around it, so you know where the edges are. You don't go over it. The great thing about this technique is the freedom it gives you compared to painstakingly tracing an image. I'm going to use the broader V tool to start cutting some of these quite broad leaf lines. So I'll probably try and just give one flowing line to this first bit. The lino is nice and warm. It's quite easy to cut without heating it. If you're living in a colder climate, you might like to put it in front of a heater for a few minutes. Okay, let's just going to attack some of these little lines here. Another thing, just to open up the lino a little bit, is just to give the whole thing a sand. I love just doing a proof because I can't wait to see what it's going to look like. So yeah, just going to use my little speedball roller today because this is a fairly small piece of lino. Get that right, put it down on the little registration markers, get the Kozo paper and line it up there with those corners. There's my trusty spoon. Not going to worry too much about having inky fingers because it is just a quick print in the paper. Okay, so that's what it looks like at this stage. I've obviously cut a lot more out here, but I'll probably end up doing a little bit more detail, but that gives you a good idea of where to work from. I probably wouldn't look at the original photocopy much from this point because I'm more interested in making this image work as a unique print.